Ladies, are you there? It's Mel here. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. I managed to sort it out. So thank you very much for bearing with me. I appreciate that. I'll turn my video off because I hate having to watch myself. There we go. Thanks, girls. So now what I'm going to just do is share my screen again. Let's... Come on, what's going on? Okay. Right, so you should be able to see my LMS page. Is that correct?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. We are sorted. So girls, welcome to Management 5 DPP for this semester online. I hope you're going well. You're all ready to get into it, are you?
Yes.
Yep. Excellent. All right, good. Well, look, my name's Melanie Ahmed. You can call me Mel. I'm going to be your facilitator for this semester. So any questions you have on anything, direct them to me. Email's probably the best method, and I'll show you where all those details are. So just quickly, a little quick intro about me before we get into the unit. And I, of course, want to find out a bit more about you too. So when I graduated uni many years ago, I went and worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers in their audit division. When that got a little bit too much, I moved to the UK, and I spent about the next 12 years working in the UK in investment banking. So I was involved in managing large global teams in the areas of operations and risk management. So it was a very interesting job. So I worked for some large investment banks such as Deutsche Bank, Morgan Stanley, Nomura. I'm sure you've heard of them. So it was a very interesting time for me. So in terms of my experience in human resources and human resource development, as a manager of those teams, sometimes up to 150 people across 3 continents, my involvement with HR was quite varied depending on the role. So in some roles, I was responsible completely for the development of my team and managing HR issues. In other companies, HR as a function was very much integrated into the organisation. So I've got quite different perspectives. So I returned to Australia, and I now have 3 small children. Or they're not so small anymore. My eldest is just going to go into year 12, so that is certainly not not a small child. So I've been lecturing in various units at university probably for the last decade. So I teach across a number of areas, which relate specifically to my work experience. Are certainly in terms of international management and international human resource management and development. I also teach tax law and accounting subjects because that also relates very closely to what I was doing in investment banking. So it's quite a varied range of subjects. You guys will also be pleased to hear that I too am a student. So I'm just in the last stages of my PhD. I'm probably the world's oldest student, but I am actually enjoying it a lot. So I picked a topic that I was very interested in. So my topic is a psychology-based topic looking at motivation at work. So that's a very broad topic. So that, of course, also spans across management and human resource development. So I'm hoping to finish that this year. So that's just a little bit about me. So girls, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourselves? I'd just like to know maybe where you're working, what your background is, what you're hoping to do when you finish your masters. Why don't we start with you, Amy?
So I'm based in a remote community in the Northern Territory called Milingimbi, which is an island out of East Arnhem Land, and I work in youth sport and recreation. Doing my masters I've been doing it for 2.5 years. This is the first subject I've done this year just with my workload.
Okay.
And being remote, it's a little bit tricky to get access to things occasionally, depending on what's happening.
Cool. Well, let me know if you have any problems. That's how are you finding online study?
Yeah, good. I really enjoy it. I did most of my units face to face. I've just moved to the territory about a year ago.
Okay.
So this will be my second online subject, and it's just the practicality of being able to keep studying while I'm up there.
Yes, I think, well, this is a compressed unit. So, yeah, the key is just to keep up to date every week with the material and what you need to do.
Yeah, so the plan is, I've got pretty flexible working hours, so a bit of time for some study every day, which means that I'll be able to stay on top of things, which will be really good.
Excellent, Amy. And what do you do? What work do you do?
I do youth sport and recreation, so anything after school programs, sporting competitions, PE, all kinds of things.
So are you involved in facility? Yeah, do you actually take those programs, or are you involved in
Yeah,
that?
I run those programs, and I also facilitate. We've got training for our local staff, so local Indigenous staff as well. So just looking at ways that we can better engage with those staff and working that. So.
Oh, excellent. Well, I think you're going to find this unit very, very useful and relevant to what you're doing. It should be able to help you with some of the challenges that you might be facing.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, and actually I'm looking forward to seeing your reflections. So reflecting on the theory that we're covering and seeing how it applies to your situation. I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Thanks, Amy. Now, Dinley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Dinley, and I'm doing my master's in international business. Actually, this is my last semester. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold. I'm not feeling well.
No problem. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can hear that. I won't make you talk too long.
Yeah. So yeah, this is actually my first time to do anything online. I mostly do my courses face to face.
Okay.
I'm from Kenya.
Oh, great. Where are you living now?
I'm actually in Melbourne at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. I did a bit of HR when I was back home. So I think that's what really drew me into doing this subject, and also because it's online. So I thought it would be flexible for me because I am currently working.
Okay.
Yeah, so just basic.
And where are you working at the moment, Dinley?
I'm working at a company called Sequel Home Care. It's a home and community-based company. So what we do is just prepare a lot of workers to like elderly people who just had surgery and they're back home and they need to get back on their feet. So that's what basically I do.
Oh, and do you actually do you go in and do the home care, or do you manage it? What's your role?
No, I don't do the home care. I coordinate the workers and the hospitals and the elderly. So I'm kind of like in the middle of all that. I have to link the workers with the elderly people, and I have to connect the elderly people with the hospital. So I'm kind of in the middle. I don't go to see them. I just speak to them on the phone and try and organize everything.
That sounds like you'd be a very, very busy girl.
I am a very busy girl.
and are you involved with training and development?
Yeah, we do have training and development, but that's not really my sector. I do more of marketing, maybe.
Okay.
And a bit of coordination, but we do have training because we have to bring staff in, and
Excellent. All right. Well, I think you're going to find the unit very rewarding too. And I think your reflections back to your experiences are going to be quite unique to your industry. So, and also make sure you share the experiences that you had in HR in Kenya too throughout the course, because that will be very beneficial.
I will. I'll do that.
Thank you, Dinley. Now I can see Book here. You've joined us.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you? Sorry I'm late.
No problem at all. It's very nice to see you.
Yeah, it's a little bit technical problems. So.
Don't worry, we were a bit late because I had some technical problems, but I managed to fix them, so I was pretty happy. So, yeah. Becky, where are you? Tell me a bit about yourself.
I'm in Melbourne at the moment. Myself, I actually sending up introduce videos that are talking
Fabulous.
about myself.
Excellent. I'll give me a quick summary. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where do you work?
I'm not working at the moment. I'm planning to operate a coffee shop. So it's in preparation stage and I think it's going to grand open by this month.
Wow, that's exciting. That must be a huge amount of work to get that all in place.
Yeah, but it's not a big business. It's just a small cafe, but it's a lot of work to do. Yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine. Have you operated cafes before?
No, it's my first time.
Wow, so you've got a big learning curve then, haven't you?
Yeah, it is.
And how many staff are you planning on having?
Not many actually, maybe 3 staff.
Okay. Oh, that's enough to start with, don't you think?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
it's just a takeaway cafe. It's very small business. Just I wanna to get something new and to try something I never done before.
Oh, good on you. That's brave. It's great to try something new.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep us updated on how everything goes.
Yeah, well.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Buki. Oh, well, it's very nice to meet all of you. Thank you for coming along today. Well, look, let me just start by telling you a little bit about the unit. So what we're going to be looking to do is to develop an understanding of the link between the human resource development function and developing people and organisational performance. So we're going to look at exploring workforce development. So specifically, we'll be looking at challenges in human resource development, theoretical positions, links between HRD and team, individual and organisational development, as well as looking to provide practical solutions that we come across to challenges during workforce development. So that's what we're going to be looking at overall. So as you know, this unit is compressed into 6 modules, and so each module will build on your understanding and context. So the first module, which you will hopefully be working through at the moment, this provides us with a bigger picture context and looks at some of the more significant influences on human resource development and learning and development. So there's quite a lot in this module if you've started working through it. Has anyone here started looking at that? Yep, I see a nod from Buki. What about you, Dinley and Amy? You're starting to work through.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll go to LMS in a little while and we'll have a sort of a walk through how everything works. The next module, module 2, we're going to be looking at the link between employee performance and development, so both learning and career development. Module 3 is going to focus on leadership development and how it relates to human resource development. And then we're going to explore teams, so team networks, social learning, and knowledge management. Module 4, here we're going to be looking at developing effective learning and development programs. So this will be very relevant for your 3rd assessment. We're going to be also looking at training interventions. Module 5, we're going to focus on the link between HRD and organisational development. And then the very last module, module 6, we're going to be focusing on employees and organisational development. We're also going to look at organisational or team group interventions, so large training interventions, and finally explore some contemporary issues in HRD and organisational development. So yes, I know I just used a lot of words, but there is a lot that's going to be covered for you in the next 6 weeks. So I think I was saying to Amy before, some of you, this is your first online unit. So my advice is just over these 6 weeks, keep working consistently and working through the material, making sure that you complete everything you need to every week so that you don't get behind. And if you work through consistently, then I think you'll have no problems. Now, I thought what I'd do initially is go through the unit outline with you. Now, I will go through this and then we can have a look at LMS and I'll show you where everything is to be found in LMS. Now, can you see my outline here? Can you see it nice and clearly, or do I need to make it bigger?
That's fine.
I can.
Okay, cool. Sorry, what was that? Bigger or okay?
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. So I just want to flick you through this really so you know where to find all the key information that you're going to need. Before actually I go through this, have any of you got any questions based on what you've done or what you've come across so far? No? All right, well, let me keep going through this, and you can feel free to stop me if you've got any questions as we go through. So here are the details of our subject coordinator, Jennifer Spoor. She's based in Melbourne, so her email address and phone number is here. Here's my details, Melanie Ahmed. Here is my email address for you, so that's the best way to contact me. And I'm usually pretty good with my email, so you'll certainly get a response within 24 to 48 hours. So I'm actually based in Sydney, so I'm not near the campus, and neither are any of you by the sound of it. All right, so I've talked to you a little bit about the unit and some of the learning outcomes. I will let you go through and have a look at this in detail. Of course, key information about your assessments, so please schedule these into your diary now. Your first assessment, which I will go through with you today, which is contributing to discussion board. This needs to be done every week at the end of the week. So by Sunday at the end of the week by 11:55 p.m. So your first discussion board posting will be due this Sunday, and I'm just getting the date here. This Sunday, the 9th of September by 11:55 p.m. So just letting you know that's the first piece of assessment due. I'll be talking about it more in detail. Also, I'll let you know now that your first discussion board postings, we're going to use those as formative assessments. So I'll have a look at what you've done, and they won't be graded, but I will give you some feedback to help you improve how they develop over the semester. So that will be the objective of your first discussion board postings. I'll have a look at them and give you some feedback. So that's due this week, and they're due every week from weeks 1 to 5 by 11:55 p.m. at the end of that week. Your second assessment here, individual written assignment, this is actually a research essay, and this is due at the end of week 4, so Sunday the 30th of September. So I'll be talking more about this assignment tonight because you guys are going to have to come up with your own question. So I'll discuss more about that assignment a little bit later. Your third and fourth assignments for this unit are due at the end of week 6 and week 7 respectively. So these assignments are actually linked, so I will tell you more about them in the next web conference. So the first part of this is writing a learning and development proposal. The second part is supporting that with a video pitch. So I'll tell you much more about that as we go. So you can see the weighting for each of your assignments here. The discussion board postings, so your communities of practice and your reflection postings each week, for the first, so they'll be graded from weeks 2 to 5. That's worth 20% of your grade. Your research essay, 30%, your learning and development proposal, 30%, and your video pitch, 20%. So that's how your grades are comprised. Okay, what else have we got here? Couple of things. We'll talk about academic integrity in a little moment. Just please note here the policy around extensions, late submissions and penalties. So if you require an extension for any assessment, this needs to be submitted to the unit coordinator, Jennifer Spoor. So I showed you her details there. So make sure you use the appropriate forms and provide the documentation. So all the information is here. If for any reason you are late in submitting your assignments without an approved extension, the penalty for late submissions is 5% of the total marks for each day, up to a maximum of 5 days after the due date. And assessments will not be accepted after that. Okay, hopefully that's no one here. I do just urge you to make sure, I'm sure by now in your 3rd year, you are very familiar with the library and the referencing guides. So if you need any links to the library, then please go here, and you should have a downloaded version of the referencing guide for this unit. So in this unit, we're using Academy of Management referencing. I had to just remind myself. Okay, so you'll find the guides here. Okay, so a schedule of our learning activities for the 6 weeks. So I just quickly ran through with you the topics for each week, for each module. So each week you will be required to work through the modules, which will involve you reading journal articles, watching various videos, practically applying the theory that's presented, and keeping an e-journal of your thoughts as you go through. So you can just keep an e-journal in Word. That's probably the easiest thing to do. And then of course you're required to participate in the discussion forums every week. So please note the timing of the web conferences. We have 3 over the semester. So web conference 1 today, of course. This is a bit of an overview of the course and the first 2 assessments. Web conference 2 will be in week 3. So that will be on Wednesday, the 19th of September. And here again, we're going to be focusing specifically on your 2nd assessment, the research essay, and having a look at the requirements for your 3rd assessment. And then our last web conference will be held in week 6. So in this web conference, again, we'll be looking at any questions you have on your learning and development proposal, assessment 3, just before submission, and we'll be looking at the requirements for assessment 4, your video pitch. Now, I know that you can't always attend these conferences. It's much better when you attend live because we can talk and I can help you directly with your problems and give you some feedback. But of course, I understand you can't always attend. So I'll make sure these are recorded and I will post the recording on LMS for you. Okay, but of course, attending in person is always much better. All right, here in the learning outline, the unit outline is a little bit more information about each of the assessment tasks. So you can get that here. And there we are, that's the unit outline. So any questions coming from there? Everyone happy? Okay. Well, how about then we go through LMS just so that I make sure you know where everything is. All right. So you can see my page here. I'll just see if I can move this a little bit. There we go, that's better. Right, so I'm sure you have started working your way through LMS. I won't go through everything with you. Here's the subject learning guide, so make sure you have a look here. A summary of our learning schedule, your reading list, etc. So make sure you have a look through here. Here you'll find some information about your teaching team, Jennifer and myself. So please go in and have a look. I gave you a quick summary today. Now, everyone is required to post an introduction video to do a quick, brief intro of themselves. So if you haven't already done that, can you please go in, record and upload a video. So here's some tell us a little bit about yourself, your hobbies, interests, what you're doing, why you're interested in adult learning, future goals. That would be very interesting for us. Thank you. Now, I think, Buki, did you say you've posted your video? That's great. What about
Yeah.
Amy and Dinley?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. So it won't take you long. When you get a moment, just go and create that video. We're only looking for 2 or 3 minutes, so don't be shy. Now, next in is the links to all the web conferences. So you obviously managed to get in just fine. Once I've got the recordings, I'll post them underneath here so you can access them. I'll send you an email when they're available. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look under assessments first. So let's have a little bit more of a look at assessment 1. So assessment 1 involves you posting each week to the Communities of Practice forum and also posting a reflection posting. So the 2 forums are here, a reflection posting, which you will do every week across all of the modules, modules 1 through to 5, and a Communities of Practice posting. So this will be a separate posting for each module 1 through to 5. So there's 2 postings required each week. So as I said, as you work through module 1, you will be directed through exactly what is required for these postings. Once you have made your postings for the first module, I'll go in and have a look and I'll give you some feedback with a view to helping you improve your discussion and contribution as the semester goes on. So at the end of the teaching period, I will look at your COP postings and grade them from weeks 2 through to 5. In terms of your reflection postings, I will select 1 week's worth of reflection postings to grade. So each of your postings, you know, we're not looking for a huge essay, we're looking for about 200 words in each posting. Okay, so you're also required, let me just go into this instructions page here. So there's specific instructions here. If you click on this link, an explanation of terminology that we use. So in terms of reflection postings, so after you've completed module 1, you will be required to share a reflection from your journal. So there's many opportunities during the module where you are asked to respond to some questions and reflect. So we're asking you to share one of these. So we're asking you to share one of your reflections and also respond to at least one other student's post. So you need to do both of those things each week. Now, when you share and respond to other students' posts, we're looking for you to build an understanding through sharing your experiences. So, yes, keep that in mind when you're commenting on other students' posts, okay? We're looking to build discussion. Now, to get to the reflection posts that you're required to make, if I click on this, actually, I'm going to take you there another way. We'll go back. Just let me take you there another way. Now, so that's the reflection post, okay? So you're required to share 1 reflection post each week and respond to at least one other student's post. In terms of your COP discussions, Communities of Practice discussions, within each module, you'll be given a number of questions from which you can choose from. You will be required to respond to at least one of these questions. So there's certain topics within each module. So you might be guided to answer questions related to a video, case study, or other theory. You don't have to answer all the questions there each week. You just are expected to answer a minimum of one. We also require you to reflect and compare your post with other students' reflections. So you're required to respond to at least one other student's post. So does that help to explain what's required there? Okay, let's just go back. Sorry guys, I lost my place. I'll just scroll back. Now, it's probably worth having a look here too at the marking rubric, just so you know how these discussion posts will be graded. I'll just click on this for you. Okay, so you can see here there is a number of criteria that we're looking for in terms of grading. So 25% of your mark will be based on your ability for critical reflection, so your ability to explore an issue, answer the questions, discuss points. We're also looking for an excellent level of reflection, so the ability to look at the theory and so on that's presented in each module and apply that to your own experience and reflect on that. So we're also looking for problem solving, critical thinking and analysis. So secondly, in your discussion postings here, we're looking for excellent use and understanding of theory and providing some very rich examples to demonstrate that understanding. This next criteria here, contribution to team community. So here we're looking at to see how well you've initiated and responded to the dialogue each week with excellent questions and pertinent, relevant discussion. So we're looking here for you to demonstrate the ability that you have extended upon shared knowledge of ideas and understood and brought other people's perspectives into your posts. Criteria here, we're looking at structure and organisation. So we're looking for very well structured posts. You should be supporting your posts with references where appropriate and providing a reference list. So this is mainly relevant for the communities of practice posts which explore the theory. Finally, we're looking for how well you express yourself, use of clear language, how cohesive you are, how well you build your arguments and support them with evidence and theory, and English expression. So that gives you quite a lot of detailed information about how the discussion posts are actually graded. All right. So ladies, do I have any questions on this first assessment? I'm just going to take you to the bottom of the page here, past all the learning modules. Click on discussion activities, and this is where you'll be able to make your entries. So for example, for module 1, this is where you will make your reflection post, and this is where you will make your communities of practice post. So if I just click in here, this is where you can make your post. And let's just have a look in the communities of practice. So you can already see that Buki and Han have gone in there and started their discussion. Excellent, thanks Buki. So I can see Buki's addressed 2 of the questions here. So we won't have a look, I'll have a look at those later, but I would just a quick comment there, Buki. I'd say if it's related to theory, then just make sure you reference in text where appropriate to acknowledge your sources. Okay, so everyone knows where to find all the information now for assessment 1. Sorry, I have to keep scrolling through this. Now, it's worth us talking about assessment 2 at this stage as well, because you guys are going to need to do some work and get some things to me before the next web conference. So let's talk about this. Assessment 2, your research essay. You can hear me rattling around. I'm just getting all my papers ready here. Okay, so your research essay. This is due on Sunday, the 30th of September. That's the end of week 4. So your essay is a 1,500 word research essay worth 30% of your assessment. Let's just click on the detailed instructions here. Now, I will go through this in much more detail next time in the next web conference in week 3. By then, you will have had a chance to look at this, have a read through the related material in module 1, and then you can think about your question. So it's worth talking about this now. So this research essay, about 1,500 words in length, so that includes your headings, etc., but not your reference list at the end. So in this essay, we're looking for a number of areas for you to address related to the topic. The topic of your essay this semester is going to be employability. So employability is explored in module 1 towards the end when they start talking about competencies, etc. You may have come across it. So around this topic, we're looking for some description and critical analysis of the relevant academic literature in HRD and employability. We're looking for you to use well-integrated and high-quality supporting references to empirical research and organisational case studies to provide some theory and to support your arguments. The essay also requires a reflection piece that requires you to reflect on the question that you come up with and address and how it relates to your own personal experiences in work, goals, life, etc., or other situations that you've observed. So that's a very important piece of this essay. We're also looking to make sure that you have completely demonstrated an understanding of your chosen topic, narrowed it down for your question, and that you have demonstrated also an understanding of other related issues, trends to HRD practices. So they're the essential areas that need to be addressed in the essay. So as I've said, the essay requires you to explore employability. So what we suggest you do is do the initial reading and research on this topic based on what you can find there in module 1. And then this will help to further guide your research and to focus your essay, because you're going to have to come up with your own question. So I'll give you some examples in a minute. Okay, so we've already said we're looking for critical analysis, excellent understanding of theory, ability to reflect. So it's very much an academic essay. You will be expected to use a minimum of 10 peer-reviewed academic journal articles to support your essay. Of course, you can include additional information obtained from other credible sources. So they could be newspaper articles, books, chapters, practitioner articles, other web-related sources. So they have to be credible though. So Wikipedia does not count. So what you are going to need to do is, once you have done your initial reading and thought about what interests you, what you might like to explore further in the topic of employability, then you will need to write an essay question that's appropriately framed and focused. Now, I need to see this question to make sure you're on the right track. So once you've got a question framed, focused, then send it to me so I can have a look and give you some feedback to make sure you're on the right track. Your essay needs to be well structured for an academic essay. So intro, body, conclusion. Your introduction needs to contain a thesis statement. I'm looking for well-formed paragraphs that start with a good topic sentence. Build your argument, which is supported by evidence and examples. So make sure your paragraphs link together to tell a cohesive story. We're looking for excellent understanding of relevant theory. And as I said, a personal reflection needs to be included that applies your specific analysis and question to your own workplace learning, career development, life goals, or other situations you've observed. Okay. Here is a little bit about the format requirements, so you can read those. Please make sure you abide by these. It makes everyone's life easier. And please note, we are using Academy of Management referencing for both your in-text and reference list. So please go to the library guide to help you with ensuring that your referencing is in the appropriate format. The guide's very good. At this point, it's probably worth just talking a little bit about plagiarism and how you can avoid it. So I'm sure by now you know exactly what plagiarism is. In terms of how you can avoid it, I suggest that you submit your drafts through Turnitin so that you can see what your similarity percentage is before submission date to give you a chance to fix things up if you have problems with paraphrasing or sources, quotes. So that's what I urge you to do. Make sure you focus on your paraphrasing. You need to use your own words to when you are trying to express other people's ideas, and make sure you reference appropriately in text to acknowledge the source of your information. Do I have any questions on that, the referencing or plagiarism? Because we certainly don't want anyone to have any issues. I'm sure you know by now. Okay, there's some suggestions here for writing your essay and researching, so I suggest that you go and have a look. So I suggest that you do your initial reading from module 1 around employability, and then see if you can start to frame an essay question. And this will help to guide your further research. Now, note that your essay question is different from your topic. The topic is very broad, employability. We are asking you to narrow this down to a very specific area around this topic. So one of the suggestions here to commence your research is to start with the relevant research in the reading list and from the module 1 activities. And when you find a relevant article or articles, go to their reference list at the back and look for peer-reviewed journals that might be relevant. This is called backsourcing, actually. It's a technique I use a lot for my PhD research. So you'll find that very good. And it really helps to narrow down relevant articles related to what you're looking at specifically. Now, I want to just show you some example. Oh, see, I have to keep going back to the beginning. This is crazy. It's always driven me crazy. All right, sorry guys, just bear with me. Okay, here we go. I just want to open these sample questions. Now, please, please note, these sample questions do not relate to your topic. Your topic's employability. These questions relate to the topic of mentoring, but it's just to give you an idea of the type of questions or how to structure your questions. So they're provided for illustrative purposes only. So let's have a look at examples of questions around the topic of mentoring. So you can see that they're going to be very specific to a particular area. The first one here, are peer mentoring and networks more effective than dyadic mentoring in the modern organizational context? How are they different? Explore and discuss this in regards to knowledge management. Okay, so you can see how that question takes the topic of mentoring, focuses it very specific on peer mentoring and dyadic mentoring, looks at the differences and how they contribute to knowledge management. So it's very specific. Let's have a look at the second one. This one's a little bit more general. Is informal mentoring more effective than formal mentoring in regards to encouraging employee growth and development? So again, quite specific, but there's lots of different ways you could tackle that particular question. And let's look at the final example question here. What are the benefits of formal mentoring programs within organisations? What challenges do they create for HRD? And consider this in regards to gender and culturally and linguistically diverse groups. So you can see you can be creative and you can really tailor these questions to focus on your specific areas of interest. So please do the reading, do some back sourcing to find some relevant articles, formulate a question or a couple of questions and send them through to me so we can have a look. Okay. So I will talk more about that assessment in our next web conference. In the meantime, I just want you to get started on it and do the initial reading and to come up with a question. Now, assessment 3, I've told you, is your learning and development proposal. Assessment 4, your verbal pitch, that is linked to that. So I'll talk more about those in web conference 3. Okay, there's your guide to Academy of Management referencing. So I suggest you you get a downloaded copy of that. Actually, a hard copy is always useful when you're writing your essays. As you know, each of the learning modules for the first, for our 7 weeks are presented here. So I know you've already started module 1. So this is very clear. It takes you through exactly what you need to do. It incorporates readings, activities, videos, reflections, etc. So you just need to work through this, complete all the activities that are required, and it will also talk you through exactly what is required for both your COP post and your reflection post. Okay, so that's all your modules. Right, so we have 6 modules, and then module 7 is a consolidation module. It allows you time to review, ask any final questions, and work on those last assessments. And of course, I've shown you this last section down here. This is where you are going to post your reflections and your COP each week. Oh, that's an awful lot of talking from me. Does anyone have any questions? Do you want to turn your mics on for a minute, girls? All girls today?
I have a question about the assignment too.
Yes, Spooky.
For the question of employability, is that it's like we set up a questions that relate with employability, and we do a research essay in regards to what the question I proposed, right?
Exactly, Buki. So that's why it's so important I see your question before you start, because I just need to make sure that you're on the right track. So you can see there's a number of ways of writing this question. You saw in the sample that we just used, you can ask direct questions that need to be addressed, or you can make more general statements that you discuss. So there's 2 ways of sort of framing those questions.
Okay.
So it's not easy to do. So have a go and then send it through.
Okay. So for that particular questions, is that should be presenting any part of the essay, like at the topic, or so like how to that people knows the entire essay is talking regards to that questions.
Yeah, well, look, your topic, it's a broad topic, employability.
Yeah.
You then need to narrow that topic down to something much more specific based on the question that you come up with. So you can really choose what you're interested in and what you want to focus on to research more. So in these samples that we just went through, which looked at the topic of mentoring, of course, different, you can see how those questions really narrowed down that very, very broad topic into something very specific.
And does this question, I mean, this sentence of questions need to be shown on the essay?
Oh, yes. I need to see your question at the front of your essay because otherwise I won't know what you're writing about.
Yeah.
So, yes, it must be, your question needs to be put on your cover page. And that's what I'm grading. I'm looking at your question and how well you've addressed it.
Yeah.
So everyone will have something different. And you know, I just urge you to focus on something specific within the topic of employability that you're interested in. And as you're doing the initial reading and you find some, you know, points of interest specific, then you'll start to get an idea of what you might like to explore further.
Yeah.
Cool. So thank you, Buki. Good question. Does that help?
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, Amy and Dinley, what about you guys? Any questions on assessment 1 or 2?
No, that's pretty clear.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's great. Well, then what we're going to do, our next web conference is in week 3, which is Wednesday, the 19th of September, 12 noon. And by then you will have had a good start on your essay, I hope. You will have had to have come up with your question by then. Send it to me and I will have been able to give you some feedback. And then we can really work in the next web conference on some of the structure and content of your essay. And I can help you specifically relating to your questions. So we'll also look at assessment 3 so that you can get a good start on that because our final web conference will be in week 6 when it's due. So I think that's just about it from me today. That's all I wanted to go through with you. Any last minute questions before we go? Otherwise, for the rest of my students, please, if you've got any questions after watching the conference, then please send me an email. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to receiving your questions for your research essay, assessment 2, as soon as you get going on that. So as soon as possible, really. All right, ladies, well, we'll sign off for today. Thank you again for attending. I look forward to seeing you next time, a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.